It would be a bit of an understatement to say that our country has not been in economic turmoil since this administration had came into office. The tariffs have been all over the news, all over social media, and have been impacting prices all over the United States, disrupting supply lines. It's just been one thing after another. But a trade court in New York on Wednesday ruled that it's illegal for Donald Trump to introduce more sweeping tariffs across the nation and world, and that this administration will have 10 days to remove the tariffs. What does that mean? Well, it means a lot and it means a little. Honestly, it just adds to more uncertainty in the markets, and that's why you're seeing a little bit of up and down. Because while it's a good thing that tariffs are being repealed because they're impacting prices and small business all over the country, making it hard for people to live their lives, increasing unaffordability, increasing the cost of materials to build houses, the effects increasing the cost of food, making items prohibitive for a lot of people and small businesses to get their hands on. So by reducing these tariffs, it kind of opens up an opportunity to rebuild the same trade deals that we've had, the trade relations that we've had with a lot of these countries. But this isn't the end, and that's why there's so much uncertainty. This is still going to go to the Supreme Court, and more than likely, it being a very conservative Supreme Court at the moment, they'll rule against the court and allow Trump to still create these sweeping tariffs. They're really kind of terrorizing our economy. So while this is a good thing and a good move, a lot of our trade partners are kind of just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what's actually going to happen. Because if it does stick, yeah, great, maybe we can get things moving again. But if not, it's just this administration will probably move to push things forward as far as tariffs are concerned to really make a point. Is it petty? Yeah, but it's kind of in line with what this administration does. So we're still in for hard times ahead. We're still in for a disruption in our supply chain. We're still in for layoffs. And like I said, the longer that this thing goes, the more protracted this event, this trade war is, the more negative consequences it's going to have on our country, our economy, our population. It's just, this is a net negative for our country, right? And while it's good to see that there are lower courts that are challenging, at the same time, the highest courts aren't. If anything, they're just bending the knee to this administration and kind of letting them do what they want to do without any congressional approval. And that's really what this is about. It's about not having free reign when it comes to executive orders, actually going to Congress and asking permission to do these things, which is, we're not a dictatorship. We don't want to be a dictatorship. So we are a representative republic, and it's important that our leader actually gets some kind of approval from our Congress. Now, are our Congress filled with jackals? Absolutely. Should they be trusted? No. The fact is the House and the Senate are both under Republican control, and that means that any request that's actually made to the Senate, for the most part, is just going to pass through. So it really is incumbent on the courts to actually do this. Now, the other question would be, if the Senate is in such lockstep with this administration, why wouldn't they just go and get congressional approval in the first place? And honestly, it's just a pride thing. And this is one of the issues with this administration, with Donald Trump in general. He wants everyone to think that it's him doing it. And while this is good because we know where to lay the blame, at the same point, we want to know which representatives are supporting which decisions that this president is making, because these decisions are having a lot of severely negative consequences on the voter base. As far as the tariffs are concerned, we're looking at price increases all over the country on pretty much every item, as retailers, department stores, wholesalers have to spread the impact of these tariffs across not just imported but domestic items to really level out the amount of pain. So it's just a price increase across the board. And the other side of this is we know just throughout history that when prices go up, they never go back down to the prices that they were before. The corporations and those who are selling these goods, those who are buying them, they are the ones who set the prices. And why would they go back to the original price when they know that you're willing to pay more now? So it is a negative impact. Not just that, but when we're talking about accountability, we're also looking at the big, beautiful bill that's in the Senate right now that's being reworked It doesn't really deliver on any of the promises that it actually made to Trump's voters. They're very marginal if they do address those issues. Everyone knows at this point that the big beautiful bill, for the most part, just provides tax cuts to the wealthiest people in America, raises the deficit, so we're going to have more inflation, and guts Medicare, food assistance, and rental assistance for the poorest, most vulnerable people in this country. And that's why it's important that things like this actually do go to the Senate. They do go to the House, because we need to know who's voting for these things. Because when the consequences of these bills, when they're passed, actually hit the people, the accountability has to be made. And it's not going to be enough to say, oh, I voted on it, but I didn't know what was actually in it, like this guy.
This provision was unknown to me when I voted for the bill.
Okay, next question. Next question.
I am not going to hide the truth. This provision was unknown to me.
See, this is completely unacceptable. This is unacceptable. But this is kind of par for the course, really. All these bills, no one reads them. When Trump's big, beautiful bill hit the House, it was denied. And then it was reworked, and then in the middle of the night, they submitted it, they put it to a vote, and passed it. Over 1,000 pages. No one actually got a chance to see the changes that were made. And there was people actually yelling in the House, what were the changes, what were the changes, as they were passing it. No one read it. Right? So the people who voted for it to pass didn't actually see the changes that were made to it. They were just like, this is what we're doing, lockstep, go, okay? And just because you're following party orders doesn't mean that you're not going to be held accountable. And the voters who are being impacted by this, in some of these districts, majority of the voters who voted Republican are on Medicare, are on food assistance, are using rental assistance. So it impacts them greatly when they go ahead and attack these things, these institutions, these social safety nets that keep people in a position where they don't have to worry about these things constantly. It's very important for us to have that. But again, like I said, it's accountability, and this will have to happen in the midterms. So if this thing is passed shortly, which it looks like it will be, then when the impacts actually hit the people, hopefully at some point, hopefully, but tribalism is a powerful thing. Hopefully there will be some kind of accountability and people will actually lose their seats, because that's really all that we can do. We can move one person out and get another in, and hope and pray that they don't go for the exact same line that the rest of people in Congress seem to do, and just follow lockstep with the tribe. So as far as the tariffs are concerned, yes, this is a good blow against them, and they're going to have 10 days to pull them back. But at the same time, there are other methods that Trump and this administration can use to actually levy tariffs against other sectors and countries. They can still do that. Like I said, there's other routes. This is just one route, one avenue that was taken out temporarily. So the trade war isn't over. The tariffs aren't over. Even if you're seeing it on social media, even if you're seeing it on the news, no, the trade war is still on. And like I said, this just creates more uncertainty, because it shows that our country has a serious amount of infighting, and that there are institutions that are fighting against it. There are people who don't want this. And are the tariffs going to go? Are they going to come? And it's easier for our trade partners to sit on the outside and just kind of wait it out, because there's really, if you're going to pay a 30% tariff one day and then the next day you're going to pay 0 tariff, then you don't know what day to make the deal on. So everyone just kind of puts things on pause and focuses on their other trade relations, leaving America out of the equation altogether. Because we have to remember that while we do export quite a bit, we import far more, because we're a consumer country, and this impacts us at pretty much every level. So tariffs are still here, everybody. They're not going anywhere. Trade war still going on. The Trump administration pushes to fight for another day. You know, the lower courts are the lower courts, but the Supreme Court is still held by the conservatives. So who knows what they're going to do? Are they going to follow the law? Are they going to follow what's constitutional? What's good for the people? Who knows? I guess we just got to wait and see. But everybody, thank you for stopping by. If you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member. Any ideas, any hate, any love, go ahead and put it down in the comment section. And as always, lead with empathy. Be good to each other. And of course, have a great day.